So
in the
even though the Grimke
communities.
sisters were abolitionists, they still had a patronizing perspective toward their blood kin.
Toward their bloodkin, very patronizing, and very much, I said in another talk when I've been talking about the book, it's a difference to see African American people and black people as equals, as opposed to seeing them as a cause that you have to uplift. And the Grimke sisters, in my estimation, were guilty of the latter. They very much believed that black people should be uplifted, that slavery was wrong, and yet they couldn't really relate to African American people as individuals.
Hey, what's up, guys? So, what happens when an award winning professor's celebrated book about slavery gets seriously investigated by other historians? Well, the result was the book getting pulled from the shelves and this professor no longer teaching at Tufts. On top of that, you won't believe what this professor said during and following this investigation. So, this professor's name is Kerri Greenidge, and her highly praised work on the Grimke family faced hard questions about its research. And what came next will shock you. So, let me just give you a little bit of background on this professor. He is a tenured associate professor in the Department of Studies in Race, Colonialism, and Diaspora. Why am I not surprised? And her 2022 book, The Grimke's The Legacy of Slavery in an American Family, was initially highly acclaimed, won prizes, including the American Historical Association's Joan Kelly Memorial Prize, and was named one of the best books of 2022 by some outlets. So now let me play you this clip of Ann Coulter because she breaks down this story perfectly.
Black lady professor was fired from Tufts and had her book, her award-winning book, withdrawn by her publisher. It's no longer listed on the publisher's website. The Grimke's, The Legacy of Slavery in an American Family. Really interesting because you never have Black people writing about slavery, or really anybody writing about slavery. Is there anything left to say about slavery? Thought I would mention that this one wasn't taken down by Christopher Rufo of the Manhattan Institute. He, you may recall, has taken out 4 Black lady academics, all at Harvard University, I believe all for plagiarism. And I don't know how they're not plagiarizing one another since all they write about is slavery. None of those were fired, disciplined, suspended in any way, though he nailed them dead to rights. Only president of Harvard, Claudine Gay, resigned voluntarily after being nailed for plagiarism.
So, in my opinion, I feel like Harvard swept this under the rug. Like, think about the optics. 4 black women fired from Harvard. It just wouldn't happen.
So either Tufts University is far more honorable than Harvard, which I think is a pretty good guess, or the Crips are more honorable than Harvard University at this point, or this lady's academic errors were really, really big. After this book, as I say, won awards, got a just glowing review in the New York Times when it first came out in 2022. A year or two later, a retired history professor from Elmira College, Myra something or other, she reviews it for, it had been reviewed in all these Black lady journals and women's journals, and it's amazing. This is a book you've got to read. Publishers Weekly, one of the 20 books you must read this year. So the retired history professor looks at it and writes a review in the Reviews of American History. That's the name of the journal, out of Johns Hopkins. And she finds deeply flawed book, made up quotes, made up evidence, and cited things with vivid descriptions of this fire that took place at an abolitionist rally at Philadelphia Hall, and these 2 sisters, the Grimke sisters, they've had to flee. No, it's apparently been established that the rally, abolitionist rally, that rally never took place. The building was empty. This didn't happen. Most astonishing to me is that she was quoting letters between these 2 sisters, and her source was University of Michigan Archives. The University of Michigan Archives has no such letters. This was found out by the historian.
Okay, so I'm going to delve deeper and provide more details just so you know what this woman was BSing about. The number one, non existent letters in the University of Michigan Archives. Greenidge repeatedly quotes letters exchanged between the Grimke sisters, Angelina and Sarah, and letters they sent to third parties about their biracial nephews. She cites these documents as being held in the Weld Grimke family papers at the William L. Clements Library, University of Michigan. When checked, library staff confirmed that several of the specific letters she quotes and cites are not in the archives. Number two, the 1838 burning of the Pennsylvania Hall in Philadelphia. Greenidge writes that the Grimke sisters led thousands of anti slavery women through prayer and helped them escape the flaming building during an anti abolitionist mob attack. Historical sources show that no one was inside the building when it was set on fire. The scheduled anti slavery meeting had already been canceled because of threats of violence. The hall was empty when it burned. Number three, claims of the Grimke sisters ignoring black suffering. Greenidge portrays the white Grimke sisters as often callously ignoring the sufferings of African Americans. One specific example criticized is her assertion, made without supporting evidence, that they ignored a racist riot that terrorized Philadelphia's black population in August 1834. And yeah, it appears that she sensationalized large parts of her book, and I'm not too sure as to why. But listen to her response after being investigated because you knew it was coming. Like, you just knew it was coming. Also, guys, if you enjoyed this video thus far, please do leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Or if you want to further support this channel, you can join and become a channel member.
So first of all, we got two women, and it is kind of interesting. They came from a slaveholding family in the South, moved to the North, became big campaigners for abolition. So their story has been told over and over and over again. Oh yeah. So what happens next? So the Tufts University, it assembles a whole panel. They couldn't be named. It's like being on certain juries. Their names could not be released. But they have an expert panel of historians. They spend months and months going through this book, and they finally decide that she has got to go. So Tufts gets rid of her. She was, by the way, one of the Year of Our Floyd hires. She was a lecturer before then, but 2020 comes along, the Saint of George Floyd dies, and she gets a tenure track position in 2020. A lot of those didn't work out, and this is one of them. Her publisher just, I guess, looks at the report, which they will not release, by the way. You have to read the stories about the investigation. The publisher sees the investigation, sees that she's been thrown off the faculty at Tufts, and her book isn't even listed as one of their books. Apparently, they are now looking at another book of hers. Lots of praise for that one too. So anyway, her response to this was to accuse the lady history professor who did the review exposing her, the university, and her publisher of racism. And I think that's a solid argument.
Yeah, that is correct. See, this woman decided to lean into victimhood and racial grievances when exposed. But what the hell does race have anything to do with you lying or sensationalizing this book? And then listen to some of her quotes here. She says, "I am heartbroken that a field I've given my life to can treat me this way. The attack on black women academics is real." She claimed that the scrutiny was racially motivated. She accused critics of being part of a broader pattern of attacks on black women in academia. On the peer review panel, she accused two senior historians of Tufts panel on being very hostile toward black women in academia. She framed the entire backlash as white scholars punishing her for her conclusions about racism and white supremacy. Guys, you can't make this up. Honestly, this is my biggest issue with these people in this community. They just never accountable. They'll never hold themselves accountable and just play victim. And if that wasn't bad enough, she also got a restraining order on Myra C. Glenn. I'm not even joking here. But let's be real, guys. If this happened at the height of BLM chaos in 2020, 2021, do you honestly think a white scholar, academic like Myra C. Glenn would have had the courage to come out and do a scholarly critique on a black woman professor's work on slavery? I doubt it, because the pressure to remain silent would have been just too enormous. So let's give Myra C. Glenn her flowers here because she deserves it, because it took real professional courage to come out and do the actual work of checking sources. Anyways, guys, please, again, if you enjoy this video, leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Or if you want to further support this channel, join and become a channel member.